Hey guys, Mr. Happy here, and today I want to talk a little bit about Diablo 3, the latest patch 2.01. Those of you may know I posted some Diablo 3 videos early during the Friends and Family beta of Reaper of Souls since it had no non-disclosure agreement. However, I have since not made any videos, just waiting for news to become a little bit more permanent. You know, most of that stuff was in early beta phases and has been changed significantly since then. So now that we're starting to get more towards Reaper of Souls launch date, I want to talk about the latest live update that they did. This is not on the beta. This is on the live version of the game. It's patch 2.01. Now, 2.01 is pretty much the baseline for Reaper of Souls. In fact, most of Reaper of Souls seems to have been installed in this patch. So pretty much the only thing you're not getting from not having Reaper of Souls installed at this point is Crusader, Adventure Mode, and level 61 plus. So anything along those three lines we won't be talking about here, but patch 2.01, there's plenty to talk about anyway. So first, we're going to go over the new social feature, which is clans. Clans is very easily accessed by default with the N key. And as you can see, it's very basic. It doesn't really do much other than bring together like-minded people and friends just to have a means of communicating with each other. As you can see, it tells you the latest achievements people have been getting, the loot. As you can see, if you left click, you can actually see what loot people got. So it's actually really cool. If let's say you want to log in and you want to see what your friends have been up to, what legendaries they've gotten, congratulate them on. For example, this person will left click and find that they found an Oculus ring with 256 dex, 84 all resistance, 8% attack speed, and reduces damage from elites by 16%, as well as the secondary stats of monster kills, grant experience. Basically, if we're like, wow, that's really good, we can tell that guy, hey, I saw your loot on the clan message. That's really cool, grats. And of course, you could just see people that are in your roster, you know, names, people who are online, offline, basic guild functionality. You also get a tag next to your name in the chat if you're talking outside of clan chat. And of course, you have basic settings, nothing too major, but at least that's nice to bring together like-minded people, especially if you're trying to find people who very specifically want to do things like maybe higher difficulty settings or hardcore only. It definitely brings together like-minded people and friends. So that's it for the clan feature, not really much. And another feature you might notice is sort of missing. It's down here. There's a tab for it right here is the auction house, but the auction house is being brought down. Now, actually, there's a bug right now where if I click this, it'll disconnect me from the game. So instead, we'll press the A hotkey, which does not kick me from the game. So basically, auction house is still here, but it's pretty much going down. And if you still have stuff up here, it's going to be removed. If you have anything on the auction house and you don't remove it before 6/24, which is June 24th, 2014, then it will just be permanently destroyed. Just drop something right there. We'll ignore that. But overall, glad this is going away, but it also has caused some other changes that are a little bit concerning, but we'll get into that as we go into the game. So with the auction house being shut down, I guess the only thing that really shown now is what's changed gameplay-wise. First, we'll go into the game settings. Now, this is what the new game settings looks like. You have a choice between campaign and adventure mode on the left. Obviously, adventure mode is locked by the Reaper of Souls expansion, so we won't be showing that here. Then it allows you to select your act. Very basic. You can reset all your quests and start over, or you can just change your act. Of course, this is just for the campaign. The adventure mode one looks a little bit different. And then, of course, on the far right, you have your difficulty setting. Each difficulty, there's no longer normal, nightmare, hell, and inferno. The difficulty setting has been changed drastically. You now have normal, hard, expert, master, and torment goes all the way up to 6. So there are a total of 10 difficulties basically. Now, how does this affect Diablo 3 in terms of the way you work? Before, it was you go from normal, and then you beat the game, you go nightmare, you beat the game, you do hell, you beat the game, and then you get to inferno. Well, now, monster levels are dynamic, meaning that as you're playing and as you level up, every time you level up, your enemies around you are going to level up. So you don't have to worry about, you know, going up difficulties as you progress and level. The game itself will take care of that for you. This is more or less to make the enemies you're fighting that are around your level easier or harder. Obviously, the harder you go, the more bonuses you get. Right now at level 60, there's really not much of a point in going into Master or Torment difficulty unless you're doing Infernal Machines, because Monster Power isn't here, you need to be in Torment to get your Infernal Machines, which is a totally other mechanic we're going to talk about. But if those of you watching know what the Infernal Machines are, you are now required to be in Torment to get the keys and whatever to drop. To even participate in it, you need to be in at least Torment difficulty. But for the sake of this, we're only going to go into hard mode. I can handle more than that, but basically, on the left-hand side, it tells you what you get extra. So for hard mode, we get 75% extra gold and XP. Expert, we get 100% more, and then some extra bounty rewards, which are for adventure mode only. Going into Master, we also get Imperial Gems from level 61 or higher monsters. Again, doesn't affect anything we're doing at this point. And then Torment, you get new legendary items that become available at level 70, and you can further increase the gold, XP, and legendary drop rate with additional slider ticks. Of course, enemies do become considerably stronger the higher that you tick the Torment bar. But that's it for the game settings. So now let's go into a game and show off some other things. Let's just go into Act 3. I don't know. Let's just do Hardison. Let's go to Kill Osmodon. So you start. We'll save it. We'll start the game right from here, and it's gonna create a game. It's gonna take a second. Recording all of this live, so it's not like I pre-recorded it and I'm just voicing it over. Fight longer. Buy health potions from merchants like the bartender at the Slaughtered Calf Inn. Good tip. Good tip. Make sure you have potions. Anyway, so now here we are in game, and first thing I want to show is the character menu. Now, as you can see, not much has really changed here. You still have all of your equipment. You have strength, dexterity, intelligence, and vitality. You have your level, but there's a few things here that we do need to talk about. The first one, you now have 3 stats that show damage, toughness, and healing. Damage is a slight calculation of your DPS, something that we've actually already had in the game, although it's a little bit more accurate now, it seems. Additionally, we have toughness, which is basically your effective HP. Something action RPG players are very familiar with is the term action RPG, is the term effective health, which is basically your health multiplied by your armor, dodge chance, average resistances, missile, melee, and elite damage reductions. This does not take healing into account, so this is not your true effective HP. It's just, as it says, the total amount of raw damage you can take. On top of that, if you want to calculate your effective HP, there is also a healing one, which is based on life per hit, life per second, life steal, life per resource spent per kill, and health globe healing bonuses. Of course, not all this healing is active all the time, but it's an approximation of what you can achieve. Now, additionally, you now have a Paragon tab. Paragon levels have been completely reworked. It is called the Paragon 2.0 system. What basically means Paragons no longer cap at level 100. And on top of that, it is shared across your entire account. Now, softcore and hardcore are separated, so your softcore levels will not translate into hardcore Paragon levels, and vice versa. These levels are accessible from level 1 across your account, so if you have a level 60 character with 50 Paragon levels, and then you make a second character, that character will be level 1 with 50 Paragon levels, and you can spend those points. The points that you get from leveling up in your Paragon levels, Paragon points as they are called, can be spent here. Now, as you can see, you have 4 categories here, and just for the sake of this, we'll reset them all just so I can completely explain how it works. So every time you gain a Paragon level, you don't gain stats anymore, but you do gain a single Paragon point. Now, oops, sorry about that, had my microphone, a ghost microphone it seems. So anyway, for every Paragon level you get a Paragon point. Now, every Paragon level does not net you a Paragon point in each of these. It only grants you a single point in one of them, and when you get a point in each one of them is predetermined by what your Paragon level is. If it's a divisible of 4, for example, it's most likely going to be in core. So, for example, I am Paragon level 32, so I have 8 points in core, 8 points in offense, 8 points in defense, and 8 points in utility. Now on my Demon Hunter, as you can see, my stats right here, I get to choose. Where do we want to put these 8 points? You want more dex, vitality, movement speed, maximum hatred? I'm going to go with movement speed. But you know what if I change my mind and I don't want the movement speed? One click, reset the button, and you're all good to go. Now I can put them in dex if I want. No problem, but I'm going to put it back to where I had it before. Going to offense, some basic things. Attack speed, cooldown reduction, which we'll talk about in a second. Critical hit chance and critical hit damage. I'm actually going to go with critical hit chance. Just my own personal thing. You know what? Instead, I'll go with attack speed. Feeling it. Defense, we have life, armor, resist all, and life regeneration. I'm going to go with all res since this is hardcore. And then, of course, in utility, you have area damage, another new stat, resource cost reduction, another new stat, life on hit, and gold find. None of these stats can increase your magic find, as you saw. I personally want resource cost reduction. Simply hit accept, and bam. And even if you have a level 1 character, I could still make access of those 32 Paragon points, and each character can allocate them differently. So even though I used all my points here, I could just as easily log into another hardcore character and put 32 points into that character as well. So now, another thing, as you can see, there were a few new stats there. Cooldown reduction, resource cost reduction, AoE damage, those are here as well. As you can see, those are now stats, and you can find them on gear as well. Cooldown reduction, obviously, I don't have any, so 0%. Area damage, which very simply explained here, is all attacks have a 20% chance to also deal a percentage of the damage to enemies within 10 yards, can be increased with items, and of course with the Paragon level. So if you have, let's say, a single target heavy build, but you want to be able to do some extra AoE damage, getting some Paragon points into area damage, or even just getting some on your gear, can turn your single target build into an AoE build, but it will probably require a lot of that stat. Of course, you still have the basic stats: critical hit chance, damage, attack speed second on your main hand and offhand, which can vary. And then, of course, you have some other stats here, mostly familiar stats, but then you do have some of the new ones, such as cost reductions, discipline cost reductions, hatred cost reductions, and you have just basically the stats that we've been talking about: resource, cooldown, and AoE damage, as well as finding more stats on gear. Another one is plus percentage damage to physical skills, which is something you can find on items as well. Now, new stats, Paragon levels, but you know, that's all good. But what about the loot? I mean, this is an action RPG. You got to be wondering, how's the loot? Because some of us have pretty bad memories of the original Diablo 3 and the way that the loot worked there. I can only tell you how many times I found a legendary that was either A, completely useless, or B, it was for my class, but it just wasn't as good as the rares that I was finding. Well, loot has been reworked into something called Loot 2.0. Now, Loot 2.0 basically makes it so that items that drop more or less apply to your class. And if you find class-specific gear, such as for the example of my Demon Hunter one-handed crossbows, they will not have stats that don't affect your class. For example, I'm not going to find this weapon in Natalia's Slayer with stats like strength or intelligence. You're not going to find things like that. And things like maximum discipline will be normal on things like this. I mean, this gear I got from about 5 hours of farming. Almost all of it is brand new, as you can see. A lot of dex, chakram damage on my headpiece. These boots that I found, dex, vitality, movement speed, elemental arrow damage. These pants are old, completely ignore them. New belt, dex, vitality, attack speed, increased damage against elites. New body piece, dex, vitality, armor, life regen. New dex, vitality, all res, critical hit chance. Natalia's reflection, dex, attack speed, life regeneration, a socket. You can see how all of this new gear, not all of it's new, that's another old piece of gear that I have, but you can see how it's tailoring to my class. I'm always having things like dex and vitality, critical hit chance, and damage, attack speed. They're all stats that I actually need as a Demon Hunter. And that's how Loot 2.0 is designed to work. You still can find things for other classes, but it is far more rare. Do not expect to always find another one that I found. Dex, vitality, critical hit chance, and lightning skills, but that's more specific to this legendary than it is to my class. Additionally, as you can see here, there's a new type of gem. Since we're talking about itemization, there's a new gem, diamonds. Diamonds, weapons, increase your damage against elites. Helms, reduce all of your cooldowns of your skills, which is majorly useful. And any other slot increases your all resistance. So you could find pieces with no all resistance, but a bunch of sockets, and give them a bunch of all resistances. So it's been significantly reworked into a very easy way of gearing up your individual classes as you play on them. And there's a few things that are drawn back because of this. One thing is that legendaries and set items are now account bound, which is, to me, insulting. I'm not a big fan of it because I like the idea of a trading market. And what's the point? See, there's trade chat right here. What am I going to trade now? You know, I don't know, maybe common debris? Nope, that's account bound. These gems are not account bound, although I'm sure some of the higher level ones in Reaper of Souls are. I don't remember. I haven't played the beta in quite a long time. Demonic essences, account bound. Potions aren't. Sure, I'll sell some potions. White items, obviously, for disenchanting. Blues, rares are even account bound. Some of them are, it seems. This one's account bound. This one's account bound, probably because I crafted it. Crafted items are account bound as well. So there's a lot of account bound stuff now. However, if you play with friends in a room in like the same game, you have a few hours to trade legendaries between each other since you were both present in the game. So you can still technically trade legendaries, but only within a small window if you've been actively playing with other people in the same game. So that's it for Loot 2.0. That's the basic gist of it. Now, a few other things. There are quite a few other things I could mention. I'm going to run out into the world and show you guys a few of the changes. Let's just go to the core of area. Now, I do have a mechanical keyboard, so I apologize. You'll probably hear some clicking and clacking, especially because I orb walk a lot. But this shouldn't take me too much effort to kill anything. There's a treasure bandit. That's a good first spawn. I like that. So, on top of that, while I'm out here killing things, there have been significant, and when I say significant, I mean very significant changes. Is this on, oh, this is on Torment. Why am I, I thought I set it to hard, but okay. Apparently, I've got enough DP, oh, no, come on. Oh, yeah, okay, I got it. So, I better get off this difficulty because I have not taken this Demon Hunter, because this Demon Hunter is basically only 5 hours worth of gear. I'm not sure if I can take on Torment yet. I think I could based on that. Killing a treasure goblin is usually a good sign. But I should probably get off this difficulty before bad things happen, because this is hardcore, and we definitely don't want to run into any problems. I'm going to pick up this loot real quick first. Lots of essences. Alright, but one thing, you can lower your difficulty and raise your difficulty, but not in hardcore. In hardcore, once you've nailed yourself into a difficulty, you're set with that difficulty until you leave the game, like I'm doing now. So those of you who are hardcore players like myself, that is how it goes. I don't know how I ended up on Torment. I was pretty sure I clicked hard. Maybe I went to make an example and accidentally clicked Torment. I'm sure that's exactly what happened, but whatever. Resume game. Jump right back into it, lower the difficulty, and we should be good to go. So we're going to try and find a few of the other new things. Now, some of them I'm not expecting to find, such as Cursed Chests and Cursed Shrines. Cursed Chests and Cursed Shrines are chests and shrines you can find that have basically short little challenges, such as waves of enemies that you have to defeat within time limits, or endless waves of enemies that you have a certain amount of time to defeat a certain number of enemies to get bonuses. It's very basic, and you can find them out in the world. They're very rewarding if you can defeat the bonus challenges that they have. They have the basic challenge of survive until time is out, and then they have maybe kill 100 enemies during the time limit, or get to wave X, or defeat X amount of enemies in this wave. There are a lot of different minor challenges, and of course you can either get a shrine buff from the Cursed Shrines, or the Cursed Chests can turn into Radiant Chests, which are still good. Now, another thing is Nephilim Valor has been removed from the game. Nephilim Valor was the stacking buff that you used to get back when you were playing Inferno difficulty. Now, here is a set. Now, these are Waller, Jailer, Poison Enchanted. Let me see. I'm trying to remember. Okay, so Poison Enchanted is a new thing that it seems that they're going to die before they get the chance of doing it. Well, that was a terrible example. Let's see if we can find any more of them, yeah? So, on top of that, like I was saying, all the classes, before I realized I was on Torment, most of the classes have been reworked significantly, whether it just be their base damages being changed, their effects being changed. A lot of runes have been removed or added to the game. A solid example of some of the changes that we've seen is the new boars. The new companions for Demon Hunter now have a passive and active effect. Passively, my boar does damage, and it provides me life regeneration and increased resistances. And whenever I activate this on a 30-second cooldown, he'll actually rush to my side and taunt enemies, and that's just one of many changes. Here's another elite pack. Thunderstorm is another one that these ones have. As you can see, these little lightning bolts striking me, that is another new affix that enemies can have. Very dangerous, especially if paired with something like Nightmarish on Torment. You can get feared around it pretty much endlessly. So, okay, full inventory, never a good idea. I'm actually gonna toss this because I just don't need it. So, as you can see, not getting anything stats. I'm trying to find something called a Pool of Reflection. I've had severely good luck in Act 3 finding pools of reflection, and I actually don't need to find one to explain to you what it does. A Pool of Reflection is basically the same as a health well, except that instead of giving you health back, it actually gives you an experience point buff. Now, this experience point buff stacks, which means that the more pools you find, the more amount of bonus XP you will get. Not per enemy, but total. There's a bonus pool. In fact, if you hover over your experience points, it'll tell you how much your pools of reflection bonus currently is. Obviously, each individual pool stacks, so you can see that my bonus pool is 15.8 million. Now, the bonus pool, every time you find a pool of reflection, it increases by 10% of your current needed experience points to level. Now, whether that's Paragon levels or regular levels, doesn't matter. It's still 10%. So 15.8 million, you know, I've been finding tons of them. As you can see, each pool of reflection will give me 5.3 million right now. And additionally, it's always a 25% bonus directly. Now, as you can see, it says the effect is lost if you die, but you can log off and you can stack the pools very effectively. So let's go back out into the world. Let's go to the Tower of the Damned. How about that? This used to be a good path back in the day of grinding out elites, getting to that 5 stack. Before you did the Infernal Machine, before you tried to farm whatever they were called, the keys. This was always a good way to go. Alright, so we have another one. These ones have another new affix called Orbiter. You'll see it come out in a second here. There it is. Orbiter, as you can see, another new affix that enemies do have that basically summons an orbital ring of death. Obviously, touching the orbs will hurt you. So, not really much. Oh, new pants. That's good. Let's drop some of this. Hey, you guys watch me get an upgrade to my already crappy pants. But these are, well, an upgrade. Can't ever complain about an upgrade. I don't care about that. Just trying to gear this character up for Torment. I didn't play my Demon Hunter at all when I first played hardcore, and I've already lost a hardcore character to Blizzard servers just not being stable since the patch. Oh, here we go, Treasure Bandit. Can't turn that down. At least this one's not on Torment 1, so I'm very, very sure I will kill it in time. Although I did kill the last one on time, so I don't know what I'm getting at right now. So, Common Debris, as you can see, these items like Common Debris and Iridescent Tears, these are actually new crafting items as well. They've sort of shrunk the amount of crafting materials that there are in the game. Instead of being 1 per difficulty like it was before, Normal, Nightmare, Hell, and Inferno materials, it's just 1 through 60 materials and then 60 through 70 materials. So it takes up a lot less room. You don't need to stack stacks upon stacks of crafting materials, but you also find them less frequently. You're probably going to be salvaging a lot more in patch 2.01 and Reaper of Souls, just because there's less types of them, you find them less frequently, sort of go hand in hand. And other than that, there's not really much. There's a few other new affixes, like the Poison Trails, that we didn't get to see the Poison Enchanted. Additionally, there's just more things going on here in patch 2.01. Of course, there's going to be even more going on when Reaper of Souls comes out, including a new Infernal Machine, the new class, the Crusader, a new level cap, and adventure mode, which I'm very much looking forward to doing videos on later. I have videos from the Friends and Family beta, but that has changed drastically since then. So definitely head to the patch 2.01 patch notes if you want to know all the class changes. There's no way I could cover them all in a single video. I would probably take me about 5 to 10 videos if I wanted to sum up all the changes on every single class. They are pretty much 90% of the changes in patch 2.01 is the class rebalancing. So looking forward to Reaper of Souls. Definitely going to be making videos on that. If you're looking forward to it as well, be sure to like, favorite, subscribe, and share for more videos on that, especially in the coming days as I experiment more with hardcore and patch 2.01. And of course, be sure to follow me on Facebook and Twitter, where you can ask me questions and get regular updates about when I'm doing guides, builds, anything like that. You can pick my brain a little bit. And of course, I do stream on twitch.tv. I stream a variety of things. Final Fantasy, different Final Fantasy games have been the most recent of my ventures, but expect me to stream a few other things in the future. But anyway, guys, thank you for watching, and until next time, take care.